finally, how does dealing with loneliness help us to walk more deeply into the divine reality?
Well, I think that when people become lonely, where do they turn? Unfortunately, a lot of people turn to alcohol. Today more and more drugs, but alcohol is a big one. People kind of drown their loneliness, and alcohol seems to help it somewhat for a while until it all starts to go bad. But in spirituality, we don't want to turn to alcohol or drugs. What we want to do is we want to heal the loneliness inside of ourselves. And the one place that you can find healing is with the presence of God. That presence, that connection in your heart and spirit will always keep you full.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was going through my residency in Chicago, I was in the emergency room towards the end of my residency period. And, it's hard for residents because you're going into these little kind of cliques, like the emergency room and the ICU. They're all different cliques. And I remember I went into the emergency room, and for whatever reason, I was not accepted. I mean, I just felt so ostracized, and nobody would talk to me. And I'd sit down there, and I wouldn't say I was crying, but in my heart, I was crying for some connection because watching what comes into the ER, people being shot and dying, and all the traumas, the tragedies and traumas that go on there. It's a very hard place to be. So shortly after that, I went on vacation, and I was in my ER rotation, and I was actually, interestingly enough, ended up in the Tampa, Sarasota area where I now live. And I decided that I had to deal with my loneliness, that I was not dealing with it. So I said, I'm not going to talk to anybody for the week, and I'm not going to watch TV. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit with my loneliness. And first couple of days were just miserable. I remember I was just like hurting inside and lonely and crying. Just like, what the heck is going on here? But around the third day, something broke free. And all of a sudden, I did not need anybody anymore. I was absolutely free. And I was happy I could walk on my own. Like, I lost all sense of time because I no longer needed to be with people. Sometimes I was up in the middle of the night walking, the insects, the cats, the night, the raccoons became my friends. And in the day, I'd walk on the ocean, the birds were there, nature was there, and I was in absolute state of pure ecstasy. I was so incredibly happy that I never wanted to go back to meeting people again. I actually didn't want it. So, of course, I went back to the ER at the end of that week or whatever it was, and I get there, and believe it or not, I don't know what I was carrying, but that place went crazy. Everybody wanted to be with me. Aww. Everybody sat with me. They couldn't get enough of me. And I realized that it was probably my own neediness when I first started that was causing people not, they were already struggling themselves. They didn't have space for somebody to want to be part of their group. They needed people to care for themselves. But in the end, when I came back, the place of ecstasy in my own personal space was exactly the medicine that the people of the ER needed to be able to deal with what they were going through and the traumas that they